Hello, you fucks. Welcome to John Solo's Beard Brigade. I'm John Solo. You are not. Let me start off by apologizing and telling you all I'm sorry that I wasn't here last week. I didn't want to be, but now I am, and that's half the battle. Go, Joe. Good morning. I've got my morning coffee, and I have the little Lissa Gramling gave me this cup. It's the second one I've had just like it because I broke the first one because I'm not very good with stuff. But now I have the second one. It says, the more I play with it, the bigger it gets. I found that that's age dependent, truly. But good morning. Ma, good morning to you. My mother is watching this morning, so everybody be on their worst behavior. She doesn't expect anything less, I've learned. She told me, I was up there to see her a few weeks ago. It's been too long. In fact, it was right before Christmas, the last time I went up to see my mother. And my mother told me that as you know, Dad was a minister, a pastor, and Mom, in her own right, she actually preached a few sermons herself, but she was the pastor's wife, and she played the piano and the guitar and the accordion. Mama played the squeeze box. She did all those things. And we've known a lot of pastors and preachers over the years. We're in that circle. And a pastor that we had years ago, I'm not going to name names here, but he stayed steady in my parents' life over the course of the last 20 or 30 years. I knew him when I was a teenager. And he's been going over and visiting him and his wife. Been going over to visit my mother in her new apartment. My mother introduced said pastor to our little Facebook group videos, which I thought was hilarious. But apparently he has found it entertaining. So, sir, if you're watching this morning, good morning to you. It's been a long time, man. We got to catch up. And I apologize. I don't mean to offend or anything like that. It really doesn't make any. What I've found is it doesn't make a difference if you're a fucking pastor or not. You still put your pants on 2 legs at a time. By jumping, just like that. That's how I do it. But that makes a lot of sense when you think about skirts. This is what we got going on this week. First off, today, I am finishing the post work on Bound by Love by little Patty Logan. This is a long book. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. But I'm finishing that up today. Then I am going over to my in-laws, I think, with my wife. We're going to have lunch, and I have a few things in their basement. No, that's not code for anything. I have a few things in their basement that we put there like 10 years ago that I need to get out and take over to our storage facility. Then hopefully I'll be able to come back, and hopefully if I do this correctly, I'll be running the masters while I do that for Bound by Love, and I'll come back and upload it. And hopefully that means we'll get that book out on ACX in the next couple days. So that's what we got going on. This is, I think I got the topics up there. Update. I have not had a hit of a vape since December 13th. So that is coming on 1 month. I think it's technically 4 weeks right now. But we're coming on a month of no vape. And so this is the way we did it. I have tried this for a long time. As anyone that's been around here for a while knows, I've been talking about quitting vaping for the last couple of years. And this is the way it worked. I started smoking cigarettes when I was around 10. I started smoking a pack to 2 a day when I was around 13 or 14. I've been smoking a long freaking time, as most of us do. I'm not unusual in this regard with the age or anything else. And, it is what it is. I really like cigarettes. I like anything that makes me feel good. I like feeling good. Don't you want to feel good? So I've used my voice for a living almost all my entire life. I've been in bands since I was 13 or 14. I was a full-time musician for years. Even when I wasn't, I was working in I use my voice in phone sales and a few other things for day jobs, and it's always been very important to me. I've always known that I needed to quit this thing, but to be quite honest, it's freaking difficult. And I loved it. About 4 years ago, I think at this point, I'm not very good with time, but about 4 years ago at this point, maybe 3.5 years ago, I quit smoking cigarettes. And I did that by switching over to vaping. And by the way, news reports aside, don't believe what the media tells you. Vaping is, if you don't vape like the kids do with like the 75-watt huge clouds of smoke, vaping is better for you. It's not good for you. Don't pretend for a second that it is. Wow, 25 years, Phyllis. Yeah, it is difficult. But vaping was better than, and I could feel it. I could feel the difference between smoking a pack to a pack and a half cigarettes a day to vaping full time. I could feel it was better for me. I'm not pretending it's good for you, and I'm not pretending it's not harmful, because it fucking is, but it was better. And that's what I did for a couple of few years. And it was, to be quite honest, at first, it was like, wow, this is amazing. For one, vapes don't taste like shit, which is awesome, because cigarettes, when you get down to it, if you stop smoking and then you go back and you hit a cigarette, they taste like horse shit. They really do. But that's how I did it. But then I was vaping full time. And with vapes, it's a little bit easier, especially when you get good at it and you're hitting it at a very low setting. I was hitting it at like in between 7 and 10 watts. Really low setting. If you do it that way, you actually don't even exhale if you do it properly. I didn't inhale. I fucking did, Mr. Clinton. I didn't exhale. So I could hit it anywhere. I could hit it in meetings. I could hit it in, and people have seen me at conventions, just nothing comes out. I could hit it anywhere. I had it in the booth with me. So now this became a problem. So what I did was on December 13th, I decided no more vape. We're not having any of that. I got a patch, put the patch on. I had the nicotine gum. Nicotine gum fucked with me. It fucked with my throat specifically. It was like the drip from the gum really made my voice sound like crap. So I had to not do that. A couple days of that and I stopped that. Then I decided, well, I can have one cigarette a night because I hate the taste of cigarettes now. So I won't want to have it. But if I got to have something, some sort of breakaway, instead of going back to vaping, I'm going to pick up that cigarette. And that's what I did. And that worked pretty well until I started to have 2 cigarettes. And then 3. I was up to 3 cigarettes a day. And being the addict that I am, by the end of December, here's what I was doing. I would go to my meeting in the morning. So I'd get up at 5. I'd do my yoga thing and all that and meditate. And I would go to my 12-step meeting. Then I would get back home and I would smoke about a half a cigarette. Then I would put that out, stub that out. I would have another half cigarette for later. So then after lunch, I would have another. And so I only had 3 cigarettes a day, right? But it was actually, I was smoking 6 times. And that's a fucking problem. It really is. And they started to not taste like shit anymore, which started to freak me out. So a week ago yesterday, I put down the cigarettes too, completely. And now I've got this patch on. Last Sunday was my first day of this. And I don't know that I went through physical withdrawals from that. I really don't. But I went through mental withdrawals. It's like quitting drinking. It's like losing your best friend. Except my best friends. But you get what I mean. It was a big deal to me. So last Sunday, instead of doing a morning coffee, I hid under my covers and pouted like a little baby for a day. I allowed myself to do that. But it worked. Haven't had a vape since December 13th. I haven't had a cigarette now in 7 days. So we're still on the patch, and that seems to be helping. And I'm going to ride the patch for another month, probably somewhere in there. I don't know. There's a step down program to those, and I'm able to function now. I'm able to concentrate as well as normal. My voice is definitely, I think Trace and I had talked about it. My voice is sounding better. It's smoother. I'm able to breathe easier, which is all good. And I can now start a jogging challenge that I'm about to do, amongst other workout things that I want to accomplish. But anyways, that's the update. This has been a bitch. But other people in the crowd, obviously, Phyllis had mentioned she's done it. I know other people that have done this as well. I'm not the only person to ever do this. It's not like it's that difficult. You just got to really want to do it. And next thing in the news, Doc. I know you all have been wondering about Doc. Several people. Okay, not a single person has asked me about it, but I'm going to talk about it because it's my fucking show. I have not been able to go out on a trail with Doc in 6 months. It is 6 months' time since August. When I bought Doc, let me tell you a story. When we bought Doc sight unseen. When we bought him, I'd never actually seen this Jeep before in real life. Jeeps are different than other vehicles, as you know, and they typically hold their resale value. And especially Jeeps that have been worked on like this and customized out tend to be kind of pricey, and they go very quickly. When they pop up in the used market, you won't see them there for long. This one, when I was looking for Doc, I found Doc on the other side of Indiana. I'm in the middle of Ohio, so it was about, I don't know, 150 miles away, 180 miles away, something like that. It was a long drive. I found him in the early afternoon, and I called the lady at this used car lot on the west side of Indiana, and she said, well, you're about the 10th call I've gotten in the last 20 minutes since we put it up, and it's first come, first serve, whoever wants to get it. And I said, I'll take it. And she said, okay, how are you going to pay for it? And I explained I had a trade-in truck, and I would finance it, and did the finance paperwork over the phone, and it turns out several other people did the same thing. So at that point, the decision was, the lady said, and this is coming on 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the evening, she said, several people have applied for financing, several people have been approved. The first person here gets it. I was like, well, I'm in the middle of Ohio. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's 5 or 6 o'clock. I mean, I can make it there first thing in the morning. And she said, you know what? I'll stay late. And I said, okay. So we drove all the way to Western Indiana. We got there at like 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, somewhere in there. This lady stayed at this car lot. And we took it for one test drive, and I was in fucking love. I was in love. It was like Han Solo finding the Millennium Falcon. It really was. It was just perfect. We wrapped it up. We traded in. I owed like $1,500 left on my truck, so we got a pretty good credit on that toward the purchase of it, and we started it out. So now we got to drive this thing back. And little did I know that Doc had some problems. For one, he wouldn't get over 70 mile an hour, and to push it to 70 mile an hour, it was kind of shaking a little bit, which was bad news. And I knew it's a used Jeep. There's going to be some issues, but he overheated 3 times on the way home. Transmission overheated, so that had to be solved. We ended up going about 62 mile an hour the entire way home. It took a while to get home. So that was a problem. Second thing was, anytime you did a bump, like it's a lifted Jeep, and anytime you hit a bump, it was like you were going off the road, which he really wanted to go off road, I guess. It was like, blah, blah. It was kind of scary. There were weird whistles and rattles and shit going on. And Doc needed some love. So immediately when we got him home last year, this was a year ago, July. So we've had him a year and a half now. I started doing some work on him, and I took him to our shop, and I did some work on my own. The shop did some work. It's been a constant work in progress. Doc is a different Jeep than when I first bought him. There were a couple major issues I didn't know about. One was the rear end needed to be replaced. I didn't know when I bought the thing. The entire rear axle needed to be redone. I did that last year. And that was a big repair. Those things are not cheap, by the way. The other thing that was going on was his front drive shaft. When you put the Jeep in 4-wheel drive, it engages the front drive shaft. And the front drive shaft, every time I went in 4-wheel drive, it made this, hi guys, it made this kind of grinding sound. I didn't realize that it wasn't supposed to make that. Jody and I are on our 10-day Kentucky trip last August. I hit a particularly bad mud hole. I don't really steer for the mud holes. I don't care about proving what Doc can do. I just want to get to the other side of it. This one didn't look that bad. I get in the bottom of it. I bottom out, and I come back out the other side. Yeah, it is just empty every pocket, Betty. They ain't cheap. I come out the other side, and now the front drive shaft in 4-wheel drive is making not just a sound, it's making a horrible, nasty, grinding noise. It's bad. And I don't know what to do. I get underneath it. I scrape some mud out and stuff from all the parts and everything else. And I'm looking and we're on the top of a mountain. We're miles, hours away from civilization. And I've got tools. I'm not a mechanic, but I've got tools and I know kind of how to work on some stuff. The way we solved this was I put it back in 2-wheel drive to disengage that front drive shaft and no grinding noise. And we were able to work our way slowly off the top of that mountain. It took us 2 days to get home from there. But we did it. Turns out 4-wheel drive is important when you're out there. Since then, since August, I've known that the front drive shaft needed to be fixed. But finances being what they were over the last few months, I wasn't able to do it. I just ordered the front drive shaft last week. Doc is going in the shop on Thursday. This is a repair that I could do at home, but it's kind of cold in Ohio right now, and working in that environment with the freezing hands, and I don't have a garage to do since I'd be laying in my driveway doing it. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to take it to the shop, my buddies who have a lift, and they're going to do it. So Doc gets fixed this weekend. I should have him back by Friday evening. Don't be surprised in the next couple of weeks if I just take off for a couple of days, because I am dying to get back out on the trail again. That's my favorite hobby. I love doing it. I don't do this to like, I'm going to roll over big shit. I don't care about that. I love getting out away from people, and being self-sufficient for a few days. It's the bee's knees. I love it to death. So does Jody. So hopefully we can work out. Kentucky's the nearest ground, so we can do that on. So hopefully we can work out going to Kentucky here in the next couple of weeks once I get Doc back. I'm very excited. And so that brings me. No, Ron, you're not people. That brings me to. So what I wanted to talk about was the great experiment, and this was the graphic I came up with because it looked like pee in a beaker, which I thought was funny. If you haven't noticed, for the people that are hanging around watching the show, you guys are all my friends at this point. We've done things very differently with this over the course of the last couple of few years. If you follow other narrators, most other narrators don't do 3 or 4 videos a week. I don't know. They certainly can. I'm not saying that I'm better by any stretch, because I ain't. But I've taken a very different approach to my career over the course of the last couple of years. And I got to be honest, it wasn't like a well laid out emperor-like plan in the beginning, but it has come into fruition. Is that the right way to put it? It's started to make a bit more sense how fate has laid this out for me over the last couple of years. And I'm over the course of 2022, we're going to be really testing this strategy. Most narrators don't really do a lot of promotion. When Anna Bird started this Facebook group for me a few years ago, I didn't think anybody was going to care one way or the other. I didn't want it. She did it, and suddenly it became a thing. And then, as you guys know, if you follow me at all, I decided, well, what am I going to do with this thing? I guess I'll do a couple videos. Then the great apocalypse hit a couple of years ago, and I decided I'd start coming in here and telling you stories, and it just kind of grew organically from there. And then we started to talk to the beard, and now I do these videos. I work in Discord every day. I'm on camera 5 or 6 hours a day, at least 5 days a week. And I like it. Quite honestly, I enjoy it. And using something that I enjoy like that has really taken my career in a very different direction. It's given me the opportunity to try something a little bit different this year. See, the thing is, I cannot sustain this level of work forever. As far as the, I put out typically 10 finished hours a week of audio, sometimes more, not very often less, unless I'm sick or taking some sort of vacation. That's a lot of work. I can't do that forever. It's just physically, you can't do that forever. And mentally, even more so, you can't do that forever. I love what I do, and I don't ever want to stop loving it. Making audiobooks is magic to me. That being said, the great experiment that we're doing this year is we're taking, and I say we because this is a team at this point of people, and you guys are kind of included in this. There are certainly some people in the crowd that work with me on a daily basis, and there are some that are friends that are supporting me on a daily basis. Y'all are part of this. There are 2 ways that narrators get paid. There is a pay-per-hour rate, which most narrators strive to achieve, and we have. That means that every finished hour of audio that you produce, you get paid a set rate of money. And that is very desirable, and it certainly helps. That keeps the lights on, it allows me to pay my mortgage and a few other things. The other way to get paid is called royalty share, and that is where you split the proceeds with an independent author. And that's a lot riskier. Most narrators start by doing a royalty share, and then as soon as they can, they try and flip over to working for a pay-per-hour rate. And at some point along the way, I joined the union. The union has kind of a minimum pay-per-hour rate that we're supposed to charge. We don't have to, but it's kind of this is what you should be charging if you want to keep your chin up and be in the union with us. And it's not cheap, by the way. It's not easy for authors to afford that rate. But if an author is successful, typically if they've been around for a little while, they can. And if the book is good, it will typically turn over, and normally they'll be able to make their money back. It's kind of a long-term investment. It's not a get-rich-quick scheme by any stretch for either side, the narrator or the author. I'm kind of flipping back to some royalty share over the course of 2022. Not all. I can't do that. But taking how my career has gone with these videos, with the social media group that we have going on here, with the YouTube channel that we've got going on, I'm taking that and I'm going to try and experiment here over the course of 2022. And I'm working, I would say maybe 30% royalty share projects in 2022. I've got them booked up already. And we're going to try this out. I'm very excited about it. Now, most narrators, and I think authors too, are kind of I guess word tacky would be involved. They would think it would be tacky to talk about money. I'm not going to get into the particulars of exactly how much money, but I will say that this is a financial risk. But the payoff, if it works, and I think it's going to work, otherwise I wouldn't be doing it. The payoff is that, one, hopefully in 5 years' time, I won't have to be producing 40 hours a week, or 40 hours a month, which would be freaking awesome. Because I don't know how sustainable that is. It takes a lot of focus. And two, it gives me the ability to work with some authors, if this works, some authors that might not be able to afford a professional narrator, such as myself in the future, that I think have great material. So far, you guys would be shocked at how many people I say no to. And other narrators too. It's not just me. Other narrators that have been here a while. There's not many narrators in our industry, in our genre, that are at the level of being able to produce like I do and like some of these other guys do. In fact, authors that have tried to hire narrators like us will see there's not a lot of selection. Not only does it take having a professional narrator with professional equipment and the experience to be able to pull it off, but also the willingness to do romance material. There's a lot of erotica in this and that sort of thing, and some people just don't want to record it. This will hopefully allow us to be able to select some authors that haven't been around that long, but that we think have great material. And hopefully in 2023 or so, be able to grab a couple more of those and be able to produce them, because there would be no out-of-pocket for them. And it's a win-win scenario. But bottom line is, by using the videos we've been working on, the channel that we build up here with Facebook and all you wonderful people that watch me a lot, the YouTube channel that we're building up, and thank you for watching on there too. This is freaking awesome. By using that momentum, we can hopefully slowly make this transition to doing more royalty share work. I haven't seen a lot of narrators in the groups that I hang out with make this transition back to royalty share. So to me, this is an experiment. It's a risk, but it's one that I'm willing to take. Not full bore. I'm not putting all my eggs in that basket, but I'm putting some of them because I think it's an exciting opportunity for us. I think that, bottom line, I think we have a bit of a name at this point, and I think that we can use it to potentially play this game a little bit differently from other people. I've never been one to play this. I didn't even know that I had a career. And for a long time, I just thought this was a side gig, a side hustle. But we do. And I think we're going to be able to approach this a little bit differently. The only reason I'm explaining this to you guys is because Sunday morning coffee is my fucking video. This is the one I do for me. And I want to explain to you what we're doing. Are you going to see anything different? Yes, a little bit. Over the course of 2022, you're going to see us pop in sometimes now with audio codes to give away. Now, any authors that I work with are always more than if you want to come in and give away the codes when we do a book, please, by all means, give away the codes. But if you see Trace or even Lissa popping in with codes for one of my books, typically that means that it's a royalty share book. And what we ask in return for that is we're going to try and pump the algorithm a little bit. I kind of learned this from Kenneth Obie. But if we give away a code, please, for the love of God, claim that code immediately. That would help us out tremendously, and it should give a little more payoff for you too, because if this works properly, you're going to get more books. Claim that code immediately and give an honest review. I don't care if you give a good review. I really don't. I don't even look at them. I don't give a shit. Give an honest review. If you like the book, if you like the author, say you do. If you don't, say you don't, but put something on a review for us. That helps out tremendously in the Amazon algorithms. By the Amazon algorithms, what I mean is when you're going into Kindle and you're looking up for a book or wherever you're buying them, they do these little book suggestions up there. They pop up 4 or 5 suggestions of you might like this. The more reviews we get, the quicker we get at the beginning of releasing a book, the more likely we are to pop up in that, and the more likely people are to click on it. It's just that simple. So if you see codes in the group, this is the reason why. If you get one, claim it immediately. And when you listen to it, please, for the love of God, review it. It can be 3 words. I hate this. I love this. Whatever it is, just give a review. It'll help us out a lot. And it will help this little experiment. And ultimately, it will help. Later on in the year, if this works, later on in the year, I might start reaching out to the group to seek out some newer authors as well. This year, we've got a couple that we're taking on that we haven't before. Yeah, Alyssa, you've done a great job with that. I appreciate you helping out with the codes. This year, you're going to see us working with some authors that are newer. Not a lot yet, because I have to get this experiment rolling first, but a few that we're trying out with this little experiment just to see how it works. But anyways, that's what I've got, and I wanted to explain what we're doing, because you are going to see a few things like that, like, I thought we weren't getting codes anymore. Well, that's the reason why we're getting codes. Yeah, I have to belch. Excuse me. Why does it taste like cum? Next, I wanted to explain this one because this is something I'm super excited about. Little AJ Llewellyn has far too many L's in her name. She approached me a couple months ago regarding a series that had already been started by another narrator. For this reason, that reason, and the other that I'm not getting into, she decided that she wanted to hire me for book 3. That previous narrator, Michael Dean, and I are on very good terms with each other, and we talked about it. And we decided, okay, it makes sense. I didn't want to step on his toes. It's a common courtesy. I talked to him. And we decided to take it over. So there are 7 books in this series. He had already recorded the first 2, and I was going to jump in and record book 3, and I did. We recorded this, I'm not very good with time, a week or 2 back, somewhere in there. And I kind of had it in the back of my head that there was a better way to sell this thing for the author. Now, this is not a royalty share, by the way. This is pay per hour. AJ's paying me my going rate. That being said, though, I want to try and make sure that my clients are successful whenever I can. I'm not a dick. I'm not a complete and total mercenary about this. And looking at it, I didn't like her chances of that, given the setup. These are short books. They're novellas. They're like 20K a piece, somewhere in there. And as everybody knows the way Audible works, if you have your 2 credits for the month or whatever you get, and you can spend it on a book that is 20,000 words long, or you can spend it on a book that's 80,000 words long, you're probably going to go for the 80,000. That's where the value is. So I didn't like that aspect of it. And as we all know, longer books sell well. It's just all there is to it. So I had this in the back of my mind going into it, but to be quite honest, I wanted to see if I liked it or not, because I'm selfish that way. I like to know that I'm a good fit for a project. So I jumped in and I recorded book 3, and it turns out I really liked it. I loved it. It's hilarious. It's really good. It's good stuff. So I went back to AJ and I talked her into letting us redo the first 2 books in the series that were previously done by Michael Dean. Nothing against Michael Dean. Again, I'm on great standard. I talked to him. He's my friend. So there's nothing against him. It's just to give the author the best chance of making your money back on this. Here's how we're going to do it. Near the end of this month, I'm going to jump in and I'm going to re-record books 1 and 2. I've already done 3. 3 is not going to be released individually, by the way. Re-record 1 and 2, put it together with book 3, and I'm going to record book 4, and we're going to put that out as a bundle. That'll be closer to 80,000 words. Makes sense for you to buy it as a credit. And it'll all be the same narrator. So I'm going to be redoing them. Eventually, she's going to likely pull down the individual 1 and 2 releases from Michael. Again, nothing against Michael. He did a great job. We just want to not confuse the audience here with it. So books 1 through 4 are going to be released as a bundle. Then I'm going to jump in and do books 5, 6, and 7. And here's the kicker. Rumor is that AJ is going to be writing 1 more book for this series. Book 8. That's the rumor. I cannot confirm that yet, but it is rumor. It's rumor from her. but I don't want to put her on because she hasn't written it yet. But assuming that she does, books 5 through 8 are then going to then be put out as a separate bundle. And that's going to come out, I would imagine, by late spring, at the latest early summer, somewhere in there. So books 1 through 4 for Mingo should be out, I would imagine, by the end of February. Then books 5 through 8, with the new release in there, will be another bundle, and those will be out by late spring, at the very latest early summer. So that's the news on that. I'm really excited about it for a couple reasons. One, because I kind of like AJ. I'd met her at GRL a few years ago in 2019, and I liked her then. She's fun. She's been hanging out with us in Discord as well occasionally, and she's just a lot of fun. But two, these are good books. It's the good stuff. They're hilarious. So I hope that you guys enjoy them. I'm enjoying it. And I think it's going to be a fun ride for everybody. Next up, we have Talk to the Beard coming up with little Patty Logan. Speaking of people that I love to death, this lady came into my life a decade ago or something like that. And she resurfaced in my life back in 2019 when we saw each other at GRL. We finally got a chance to start working together recently, and she's just been a wonderful addition. I love her. As often happens with my clients, they turn into my friends, and Patty's certainly one of these. She's coming on Talk to the Beard. So in prep for that, sometimes, occasionally, I do show prep. I happened to go look at her website. She actually has a website, and it's in Patty style fucking hilarious. And as I'm looking through, she's got these little quotes that pop up at the bottom. It's people are saying, and there's like a picture of a hot cowboy guy. I'm looking down here because I'm actually looking at it right now. Like a hot cowboy looking guy with chains on him and shit. It might be Michael Dean. He doesn't have any hair on his chest. But anyways, so she's got that on there. And I'm just glancing at the quotes. I was looking for a picture of her. One of the quotes says, Patty Logan, it actually says Patricia Logan, but Patty Logan smells like old poo and doesn't wear pants. Now, I liked the descriptiveness of this because Patty Logan smells like old poo. Not just because poo, when you first, it's smellier. So old poo, and she doesn't wear pants. So I want to see this demonstrated. We have not developed a technology yet for smell-o-vision, but I'm going to see if I can get Patty to describe how she smells to me tomorrow on the air. And I'm also going to see if I can get like a full bite, because people are allowed to not wear pants in this day and age. It's 2022. We've been doing this Zoom thing for a few years now and stuff, but I just want to make sure if she doesn't wear pants, because there's a difference too between not wearing pants and not wearing just, like pants, but you're still wearing undies, And also I kind of want to know, because does she wear like the granny undies or what? So I'm going to ask her about all these things. And that's all going to be coming up tomorrow on Talk to the Beard. So this week, we are, I'm just finishing up the post-production work on Bound by Love by little Patty Logan. And as you guys like me to do, the blurb for this one, it's a 3-book series: Say My Name, The Bears Surrender, and I Dare You. And it's never been an audio. This is an older release. The ebooks were actually 2018, I think, somewhere in there. But this has never been an audio. We're putting it out. This will be releasing as a bundle next week. It's featuring BDSM, sounding, butt sex, crucifixion, more butt sex, Girl Scout cookies, a scene that was kind of non-con, but don't tell anyone that because we don't want the Zon to ban it. Then the Homeowners Association, we know you were all hoping for. And by the way, I dare you not to say, not to sing that song, Say My Name, when you're looking at this, because the first book, I was singing that song, say my name, all week freaking long. It was bad. So that should be out, I think, on Audible in the course of the next couple days here. Coming up, we're going to be starting Clean Start at 47 by Nora tomorrow. Clean Start at 47 is part 1 of a duology, an emotional romance with an age gap. First time gay, loads of hurt, comfort, and the beginnings of a beautiful daddy-boy relationship. It contains themes of opioid addiction and religious homophobia. please check the trigger warnings in the front of the book, which I will not read. That's coming up starting on Monday in Discord, and I would imagine we should have that out in audio the following week. Then we have Shawn Salvation, Main Men Book 5 by our favorite Brit, Casey Wells. Not to be confused with our other favorite Brit, Victoria Sue. And we have one coming up for her, and of course, in the next couple weeks, too. Romance is the last thing Shawn wants, but what if it's exactly what he needs and deserves? A selfless son barely holding on. Shawn doesn't have much of a life. When he's not working in the restaurant in Portland, Maine, he's home looking after his dad, who has dementia. The only people he sees on a regular basis are his coworkers and Nathan, his dad's in-home nurse. Nathan's hot, by the way. Except he and Shawn are like ships that pass in the night. And on those dark nights when Shawn feels so alone, thoughts of Nathan are all he has to cling to. A caring nurse. It didn't take Nathan 5 minutes to know Shawn is a special guy. He's dealt with enough in different families to recognize Shawn has and will always put his dad first. That's why Nathan is willing to go above and beyond. Shawn is worth it. It's my impression that Shawn has a big dick. I'll tell you why, and here's my theory. I've voiced Shawn off and on now for 4 books. And what I've observed, and this is just locker room talk here, right? I mean, it doesn't really matter, but, you know, people talk about that big dick energy, and I heard a comedian talk about this the other day, and I think she was right. Big dick energy is not such a thing. The guys that I've observed that had big dicks are typically like the shy guys, and they're always like looking down, like, you know, because they're kind of, and they're a little backwards. And this is kind of Shawn. Shawn is not like the outgoing. So I think based on Shawn's energy, not the big dick energy, or if you want to put it that way, it's the shy guy that's looking down. And maybe he's looking down because he's like, my back hurts from carrying this big dick around. But I think Shawn's got a big dick. Maybe it's time for Nathan to convince Shawn he can keep that focus and still have a life that includes love. So that's what's coming up in the course of the next couple weeks as well. And finally, in the wings, we do have Hunter's Creek from Victoria Sue. Got Me Hoping, which is the Vet Shop Boys Book 1 by Casey Cox. And, of course, the rest of the first 4 books of the Mingo McCloud series by A.J. Llewellyn. And that would be it. Yes, Girl Scout cookies, Lissa. Because of that character's name in the book. What was his name? It started with an S. It was... it wasn't his name. It's just he was Samoan. Girl Scout cookies, Samoan. But anyways, I love you guys. Thank you for hanging out. There's our morning coffee show for the week. I will not be working today other than the last bit of post-production on Patty's book. I'm going to be doing that offline today. I'll be back in on Monday for our regular sessions. We're going to be working on Nora Phoenix's book, Clean Start at 47, which it seems to me I'm starting to get typecast into a 47-year-old daddy. But that's a whole nother deal. So I love you guys. I will see you on Monday. Have fun. Peace out. And enjoy your evening.